welcome to 100 Gems Podcast, home of the champs, baby. And today we got Dr. David King in the house, who is officially running for mayor. He's also a coach and a pastor. And we just got a series of questions. The man is sharp, y'all. He told me he ain't want nothing scripted, none of that. He said, give it to me raw. That's exactly what we're going to do today, baby. Dr. King, we're going to start off right away with race relations. How do you plan to address racial disparities and tensions in our city? And what are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement? That's a loaded question.
See, you really wanna go straight to it. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Let's look at race relation as being in intensive care.
Okay.
Let's pull a plug. Okay? And the reason I say that is because you got so many people who's dealing with racism, but one of their friends are the opposite race. You know, you see it all the time. They hollering they pro-black, and then you see something different. But if we will unplug it and quit talking about racism, right? And then all of a sudden, because racism is taught. You take a white baby, a black baby, and a Latino baby, and you put them in the room, they playing.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a good time. They're playing, they're enjoying it, they doing things together. They're gonna work together until they go home, and then they're being fed and indoctrinated with the hatred.
I agree.
So if we would move the indoctrination of the hatred, and you gotta look at it like this. God made man. Mm-hmm. But he made man in two models, a male model and a female model. All right? Different sizes, different colors. So if a person that hate blacks need a blood transfusion, he's not asking them, is that blood coming from a black person? I don't want it. Or some do. Some do. Right. Some do. But if they need a heart, if they need a kidney, if they want to live, they're not asking. And then later when they realize, they be like, oh my God. So when you look at it from a standpoint, move it out of the way. Quit talking about it all the time. You know, a gentleman asked me one day, and then I get to the next part of your question, but a gentleman asked me one day, he said to me, man, us blacks, we always got it hard. We got to do this, we got to do. I said, brother, I'm a dark-skinned American. I know my rights. Ain't nothing can hinder me but me. Right. If I put that in my mind, I can't have something because of color of my skin, then I'm gonna be stopped. But if I say I'm an American and I teach myself, my children, the Constitution, my rights, what I can have as an American that was born in this country, I can do anything. And so I'm teaching them that nobody stopped you from your destiny but you.
I agree.
Okay, so now let's talk about the Black Lives Matter.
Before we get to black, I just want on the racism tip.
Okay,
you know, I hear what you're saying to stop talking about the effects,
right?
Because I think we got the effects down pat because it's real. The effects didn't happen, you know, and it's in motion. Right. I think how we can change that conversation though is we start talking about solutions,
right,
on how to deal with it effectively, and then without being racist while you deal with it. Because some folks be come in the game and, well, man, you know, the white boy, because I have a lot of white friends, and I had to learn that white people wasn't all the devil. They wasn't all trying to get you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I needed to deal with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I wanted to have anything, and that's the mindset that came on, say, man, what is you tripping about color for? You got stuff to do.
Right.
And these folks right here, man, gonna help you get it done is if you play your cards right, no doubt.
Right.
But it's still real, and how do we break through?
So let's do it this way. Let's stop talking about it first.
Okay. When you say stop talking about it, give us an example.
Let's stop putting it in the media all the time. That's how they get us. They program us by continue to show a black person being jumped by a white person, or a white person being jumped by black folks, or a police officer, whatever. I mean, we know those things are happening, right? But it's not happening all the time the way they're doing it to us. So let me tell you why we need to stop talking about it. I help people get jobs. and I took a group out to a company in Beaver Dam.
Okay.
All right. And the first thing the people said was, man, they racist. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, because they hollering at us, man. Why they got to holler at us, man? They just so racist. I can't take it, them hollering. So I said, okay, I'm going to go deal with it. Me and the company got a good relationship. I goes in, so the company says, come on, David, let's take a tour. I'm taking a tour. You got machines going off. I mean, they just loud. Machines is loud. And you got people moving. The company was producing 48 to 50,000 cases of pieces a day. So they humping, right? So when the guy is taking me through, he's hollering because that's the only way I'm going to hear it. So when they was hollering, I need boxes, they had to holler. So I had to go in there and say, okay, I got this. So I brought everybody back into my office and we had to have a little conversation. Everything is not racism.
No, it's not.
Okay?
It's not.
They hollering at you because you can't hear them and they can't hear you. Right? The second thing is one gets fired because he said he got fired because he was black. You got fired because you broke one of the violations because you pulled out your phone in a food processing plant when you don't supposed to have your phone even on the floor.
And it sounds like you talking about some black folks stuff.
Right.
Some black folks did
so,
that.
Now, I mean, I have experienced racism when I played basketball for St. Elizabeth in the Catholic League, and I mean, all the way to the fact they called us niggas and everything. So I experienced it. But then I see some things and I'm like, that's not racism. That's just in your head. Yeah. And that's just like if a man mistreat a woman and now you trying to talk to her, that victimized mentality she has gonna say you just like every other man.
Right.
So we got to start healing, right? Because we, like you say, you're going to have to work. If you got a business, you're going to have to talk to somebody. You're going to have to, if you're trying to get to the next level, you're going to have to work with somebody. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to do it. And so what I got to do is we got to heal your mind. We got to make you see everything that's happening is not racism.
I gotta say that the racism that is happening, it runs deep.
It does.
I was a real estate agent for about 15 years. I also was a mortgage broker. Then I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, and different things. And man, redlining is real.
Right.
I mean, not getting the correct interest rates is real.
Yep.
I mean, not getting a loan
is real.
Is real.
Yep.
And racism is the main factor in the deal. Now, not to say what you're saying, stop talking. I think we have to recognize those illnesses that has to be healed.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how do we heal those? One of the way I found out that for them to be healed is having that knowledge and having the information, then also passing along where folks can understand it, just like you was talking about that situation.
Right.
You still had to bring them into the office, say, man, listen here, man.
Right.
It's loud in the mug in here, man. Of course, dude hollering. But you have to explain it to where he could understand it and see it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think our conversation needs to change.
Switch. Yeah.
But go ahead.
I like what you're saying because, like you say, if we got that information, because they only can get over on us if we don't have the information.
There you go.
Okay, and so let's break it down to everyday street life. All right? If you and I smoking marijuana, but I don't know how to roll a joint, I need you. And you know I need you.
Right.
And you're going to take advantage of me because I need you. Right. But the moment I get the knowledge of how to roll it, now we're on an even playing field.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So when we go into, we know what banks are not going to give us the loan because of the color of our skin, but we also know what banks will give us the loans, right? So why not pass that information into the community so the bank that won't will start starving, so they have to look at themselves and say, you know what, we ain't getting a lot of blacks coming this way.
I agree with that.
You see what I'm saying?
And that's an antidote.
Right. So what we do is we have to go and get it and make sure that is legit, right? And those of us that are running for office, when it comes to us, it's our job to make sure we go and deal with it as well. We don't not deal with it, because if we don't deal with it, then it's going to continue to go on. And then we sitting there in front of media say, oh, everything is perfect. No, it's not perfect.
Right.
We know it's not perfect. We know the interest rate is higher. We know when you buy insurance on your car, they look at your zip code and your insurance. We know it, but we won't address it.
Right.
Because why? Somebody's being paid not to address it.
No doubt about it.
So
you said somebody being paid not to address it. And those people who are being paid not to address it are our leaders in the community. And especially, unfortunately, some of our black leaders. Now, we got some good leaders, though. I will say that, there's some folks out here trying. And black folks is really trying to step up to the plate, man. I think to make that good step, though, we have to do some of the things that you were talking about,
right,
man. Exposing and then providing the correct information. If this bank don't do it, hey, guess what? We got a credit union over here that love us, and we need to go holler at them and patronize them.
Right.
But man, we go ahead and chop it up a little bit about them Black Matter.
Okay. The Black Lives Matter movement was a slap to the black community. It was a slap in our face.
Uh-huh.
Because what did we get after it? We got nothing.
Well, I gotta say, when it was going on, it was some needed attention that had to happen, man, because they was handling us so rough, and it was blatant. It wasn't like it was behind the scenes or it was red line. No, you finna get whooped on the spot, right, and killed.
Right.
They had got extremely aggressive with that, man. I think that Black Lives Matter was just a way of saying, hey, y'all gonna have to cut this out.
Well, if it was, let me say it this way: if Black Lives Matter was doing what it not intentionally. Well, if Black Lives Matter was doing what it was supposed to do, then blacks would be at the table and not still on the menu.
I do agree. I do agree with that.
Okay, so we're still on the menu.
Some change probably came in the game, though. It probably was a couple of dollars floating.
But it was floating, but it never got to the community.
Right.
It never got to those families that lost their loved ones. That money went to their leadership who was narcissists and who was witches, right?
Okay. When you say witches, wow, that's a cold picture.
No. They
Talk
said
to me about the witches, man.
They said
I don't be messing with no witches.
They said it themselves that they was witches. To the fact that one said she never met Brianna, but by calling her name, she became one with her. Right? And where did the money go? She went and brought her a house in a gated community where there was no blacks. So when you look at this thing, Black Lives Matter, Black lives does matter. So when I was talking to a couple of them, I said, okay, y'all know what? Let's go down in front of Planned Parenthood and let's protest because over 20 million black babies was aborted. Oh, that ain't what we about. Oh, okay. Well, let's march through our community and say we need to stop the black on black crime. Oh, that's not what we're about. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let's go in front of MPS and tell them the way they're teaching our children and the education they're getting, we got a problem. Oh, that's not what we're about. Then what are we about if we're talking Black Lives Matter?
Right.
We done aborted over 20 million black babies. We have reversed the education system to the fact where we used to be becoming smarter. Now we becoming dumber. We don't know how to write in cursive. They taking everything away from us, but this is not what we're about when we holler in Black Lives Matters.
Now you got a point there. No, you got a point. Like I said, they just brought some attention on some of those subjects that you just popped off, man.
Right.
That obviously somebody else is gonna have to take up and go tackle. You know what I mean? And for me, all lives matter.
Yeah.
All lives matter. Black, white, green, immigrant, I don't care what it is. If you live it, you count. You know what I mean? And you got something to do here on earth. So I'm with you on some of that there, man. You know. So you running for mayor?
Yes.
Okay. What party are you running in?
None. It's a nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan?
Nonpartisan. I am a kingdom man. I believe in being in the middle. I believe voting values over policies in politics. Because when you look at it, you vote for somebody or you vote for a party, but you still don't get anything. Okay? No party is going to save Milwaukee. Only the people of Milwaukee can save Milwaukee.
I agree.
It's an in-house problem.
Now that is a hot statement right there.
You know.
Yes.
Because Republicans never had control of Milwaukee in over 100 years. Democrats and socialists have always had Milwaukee. So if Democrats and socialists always had Milwaukee for the last 100 and some years, and our community has not gotten better but got worse, and they telling us that they're the party for us. You saw what the Democrat Party did to the blacks in Chicago, how they just dogged them out. People have to stop looking at a party and look at each other. We have to come together and say, you know what? We have to be responsible for ourselves as a city. We got crime. We got to be responsible. We got low education. That means if mama got to work, then the churches should help with the reading and the math and helping, because mothers get punished when they go to work and start making good money. They lose automatically. They lose child care. So they got a choice: struggle or stay on the plantation.
Right. Can I ask you that now? Do you think racism is a factor in what you just said? In that piece right there, is racism a factor?
Well,
that needs to be addressed with solutions.
Do you really want to go there?
I mean, I'm just keeping.
Do you really want to go there?
I remember. I'm just saying. I remember back in the day, man, when my mama used to have to put new clothes out the back window.
Right.
You know, I had to go downstairs and move them out the way.
Exactly.
Because the caseworker was gonna come over.
Exactly.
Man. You know, I'm just saying.
But since you opened it up, let's open it up. I'm gonna just give you some initials. LBJ.
LBJ, okay.
Lyndon Johnson.
All right. I know who you're talking about, the president.
Yes. The Republicans passed the Civil Rights Act. Lyndon Johnson signed it. He had to. That's the only way it was going to happen. So in people's eyes, he did the Civil Rights Act, but nobody looked to see who passed it. Right? So when Lyndon Johnson signed it, he was like, I'm still going to get them Negroes. So I'm going to do war on poverty. So when he did war on poverty, that's when the man's clothes had to be hidden. That's when you had to hide the toaster. That's when you couldn't have a color TV. Yeah. Because you can't look like you prospering. So yes, it still deal with racism. Because if I give them the opportunity to prosper, let's take it biblical, right? When you look at the children of Israel that was in Egypt, after Joseph died, after Pharaoh died, who knew no Joseph, the Pharaoh saw the Israelites and said, it's too many of them. And if we go to war, they might side with our partners. Our enemy, right? So let's start to oppress them. Who was the strongest family in the country? Blacks. Black families were strong. Black people was having babies. Black people was doing great things, right? So what we had to do, I got to get that head out the house.
Yep.
So we get
and
rid of
did that.
And they got the head out the house.
They did that.
Then they came back and said, you know what? And I don't know how old you is, but you're going to remember this. He says, I still need to cripple them. So in Wisconsin, they gave us what's called General Assistant, GA. Remember that?
I remember General Assistant.
So back then,
16th.
Right. So back then, the black men's, I ain't going to just say black men's, but it affected our community. So I'm going to say black men's. Black men's was getting $175 a month, right? 105 on the first, 70 on the 16th, 15, 16, right?
Yeah.
Plus food stamps, right?
Yeah.
The woman was getting a raise every time she had a baby. And you know it. Where did you see the millions at? At the bank or the check cashing place on the first of the month with their woman?
Cashing place.
With their women, right?
But and that's it though. So now when we could spotlight that, we could carve that out. We could carve the thinking behind that,
right.
The behavior behind that.
We have to change the mind.
Yeah, and we have to change the mind. That's what I'm saying about solutions.
Right.
What are some of the ways that we can do that? What are some of the ways that we could change these people? I think, just one way is through the podcast.
Yes.
When you get real folks on, like the minister over here and the doctor popping the thing, and you're hearing good stuff. You're hearing real things. Now, what's some of the tangible things that we can grab a hold of?
The tangible things is education. We as a community, we as or whether you're a church organization, a business owner, whatever, everybody needs a Paul and everybody needs a Timothy. Okay? Everybody needs a Paul who's their mentor, but then they need a Timothy who they're mentoring, all right? And if you empower them with that information that you receive. See, many of us in the black community die with the knowledge because we didn't want to share it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay?
No doubt.
But if we start to share the knowledge, one vow I made about myself is I'm going to die empty. Because I'm going to pour it out. That's why I'm a basketball coach. I don't just talk to them about basketball. I talk to them about life. What are you going to do after high school? What if you don't make it? What if you bust your knee? Now what you going to do? So let's talk about the things that I can help you do, that I can help you become a successful person in the community, a valuable person to the community, and not a liability to the community. Right. And so when we look at this thing, I think that we got to start with the mind. If we do not change their mind, I said this last night on my podcast. You took the people off of First and Brown, First and Cherry, First and Garfield, right? Mm-hmm. Buffum and Burleigh, and you gave them Northridge Lake. But you did not change their mindset before they went to the new place.
Because it's a liquor store lined up over down there.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We was juiced up.
Right.
Juiced up. I think it's spot on when you say we have to change the mindset, because that's where it all began. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then with that, with our folks, we like to see different things. You know what I mean? Right. If you show me, a lot of times, I don't know how many brothers I can say, man, all they got to see it is one time, and it's a dunner. They got it.
Right.
We are learners. I learn best like that.
Right.
I hear it. Oh, I got you. You know what I mean? And I think that we have to use some of those vehicles, man, on where we could show our folks,
right,
how it goes.
And that's why once I become mayor, because I will become mayor, but once I become mayor, I'm staying coaching at the high school.
Okay.
Because I want them to see. Right. We're not talking about just giving back. I'm there in your everyday life, making sure that you're okay and making sure the city is run the way it's supposed to be ran. And so when we look at it, we have to look at it and says, I need to show our young people how to give back. We always tell people to give back, but we don't show them how to give back.
I agree.
I
do agree.
So and I'm not talking about giving back because it's Christmas and you trying to do a photo op, or Thanksgiving and you flipping over some dressing. No, I'm talking about every day, going in, dealing with the issues, because ain't nothing gonna change until we go in. We gotta roll up our sleeve and go in. I'm not gonna be a mayor that you're gonna only see me on the camera. It's gonna be days I'm gonna tell the camera you're not welcome, because we need to have some serious conversation in our communities. Right. And says, okay, you know what? This family been hurting for a long time. You guys know who did the shooting.
Right.
Give them some closure.
Right. Do you think we should also include the law enforcement, the district attorney, the judges that are going to ultimately be sentencing and locking some of these folks up? I believe they should be at the table as well, so they can learn how to communicate with the community. Because it's one thing, man. I know for me, man, I was scared of getting caught up with the police on the tip because I move a little funny, and you might think I'm gonna be doing karate or something, man,
right.
Because of how I jam, they get it all twisted,
right.
You know what I mean? And then if they say something slick, I really, I know how to talk slick too,
right?
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And don't nothing really get solved, and you see those differences,
right?
You know what I mean? I think it's important to have them a part of exactly what you're saying.
Well, for me, you're on point. I think once I become mayor, I think we're going to have a time of reconciliation. We have to have that. We have to have a time where we got the police there, we got the community there. The community shares what they say without the police getting offended, and the police also sharing without the community. Because we got to build that gap. We got to work together, and we need our officers to also have some more training when it comes to mental illness.
Yes, sir.
So that way they'll know how to handle mental illness. I think but all of that has to be dealt with coming up front. It got to be a reconciliation. We can't just say, okay, I've been cheating on my wife for 6 years, and now I got busted, and now I'm telling her, oh, we need to start over. It doesn't work like that. I got to give her just as much time that I did to destroy that trust, to rebuild that trust. And the trust is gone. Yeah. So we got to rebuild that trust. I remember when we was coming up, even though you had some terrible officers, but you had a lot of great officers that would come through the neighborhood and give you the baseball cards. Yeah. And if you was working on your bike, they worked on your bike with you. Yeah. So we lost that.
But then came Blondie and them though.
Oh, you remember Blondie, huh?
Oh, no doubt.
Do you remember, what did I used to call him? Raleigh Fingers, who had the mustache.
Hey, they wasn't playing with you, man. They wasn't playing with you. I'm telling you, I done got chased down and all kind of different things. However, I needed to be chased down back then.
Right. I mean,
was chasing the right there.
They was doing their job then.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they ain't had to rob me though.
No, they ain't had to rob us. but and that's something that this is something that we need. We need average folks who've been through something in the office so they know how to address it.
I agree.
And they know how to deal with it. See, and the thing about it is we need people that's going to tell us we stink when we stink.
Right.
And tell us we look good when we looking good.
Yes, sir.
You can't have one without the other. Right. And then they say something like, well, what about the love of God? Okay, let's talk about the love of God. God says, I chastise those that I love. Right. And when we was coming up, our parents used to say, it hurt me more than it hurt you. Well, I can't tell, but that love kept me out of war pond.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I got one. Well,
okay.
He ain't keep me. But I got one question. And it's on the thing. Okay. Cavalier Johnson is our present mayor.
Right.
And I think the man been trying to do some things. I got to give him some points in some areas. You know what I mean? My question is, what is the difference between you and Mayor Cavalier?
The difference between me and Cavalier is this. Cavalier's a nice person, but he's not a leader. A true leader is not for sale, first of all. A true leader is going to make sure that the people that he's leading is empowered. A true leader has a vision. And I hate to say it like this, but the reality of it is this. Most people voted for Cavalier image, not his character. Okay? A person with character doesn't need an image consultant because that person is real and they know what they're going to get with that person. And it's like you owning a business and you make me your manager because you need a manager. But I don't have it on the inside of me to lead. I destroy your business. Okay? So a good person who can't lead is not going to make the city better. And I give you an example. The other day they put out that crime drop, car theft drop, right?
Yeah, all over.
All over, right? That sounds good. What is they comparing it to, first of all? And secondly, what did they put in place that they could say this program worked, that it dropped? There's nothing in place. So if you ain't got nothing in place, you ain't got testimony of young people that say, I used to steal cars, but because of this program, I'm not stealing anymore. I used to walk around shooting folks. I ain't doing that no more. What's in place?
Well, right now, I know that hawk out there in play.
That's it.
it's like 8 below. You know, I just want to chime in. You know, it's a couple folks that's out here that has addressed some of those issues. Like they had the Stoleys at one time when they highlighted all these the Kia boys, and then they just ran rampant on stealing the cars. And then we got Mr. Andre Lee Ellis, who's doing the garden and working fantastically with the young boys. You know what I mean? And Cavalier, I got to say, has participated in a few events that I know about that made some
photo
waves.
ops.
You know, made some waves.
Photo ops.
Well, I hear photo ops.
Photo ops.
I hear.
Now let me explain what I mean by that. The leadership in the city of Milwaukee don't want the problem solved because that's how they make their money. They make their money off of your pain, right? You had Office of Violence Prevention, right? Just changed their name. They got a new name now. Why did they change their name? Because they wasn't preventing crime. They was there after the crime.
Yeah.
So they wasn't. They didn't prevent it, so they had to change the name to make people, because everything is on words. They get you to thinking, again, the mindset. They get you to thinking certain things, but then when you slow down and think about it, you sit there and say, wow, wait a minute.
Or you have some more tangible information to go along with it.
Right. Yeah. So when you look at the crime, are you looking at this year versus last year, this year versus the year before the spike? What numbers are you looking at? And when you look at those numbers, if it's down, what area is it down that you're calling on? And did it move to another area because you moved those people out of that area? You see what I'm saying? So when we're looking at this thing, we have to ask ourselves a question. I, as a pastor, have done many funerals of people that got murdered. So are you really going to tell these people, families, oh, crime is down now? The problem is the DA is a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, watch this. The young man that went through Brookfield Parade, remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the guy that went through Brookfield Parade, and it was sad that what happened to those people. His bail in Brookfield, in Waukesha, was over $1 million. Mm-hmm. He ran over his baby mama in Milwaukee, and his bail was $1,000 before he went there. So if they would have put a value on her life, that would have never happened. Right?
I agree.
Now you got families who's lost their loved ones simply because the DA them let these individuals back out, who should have been locked up and waiting on trial. They let them back out. Now, a family son was going to the store. He get murdered by somebody who should have been locked up. Now, if that same person would have did that to a Caucasian, he wouldn't have got out.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's there. When you say that,
there's that person.
There's that person popping up again,
right?
You know, and the consequences that go along with it.
Yes,
you know, and it's just amazing that you were able to highlight that because it's still here.
It's still.
I think too. You know, with our officials and our leaders. There has to be some regular folk at the table so that they can hear some regular folk solutions.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know I can tell you how to help me a whole lot better than somebody out there in Harvard. Right. You know, it's no question how you can help my community. You know, it's just going to happen like that. Let me ask you, do you think that they're listening to what the people got to say? Or do you think they going by the system that they got set up?
Man, I like you. But I don't sugarcoat it. No, they're not listening to the people. Let's be honest, people. They're not listening to you. And you know why they're not listening to you? Because every time they don't do nothing, you vote them back in office. You vote against your own complaints. You complain about what they're doing, but yet you vote them back in. Tom Barrett was a cancer to the black community. Chris Abele was a cancer to the black community. John Chisholm was a cancer to the black community. And what did y'all do? Y'all voted all three of them right back in office. Now Abele is out of office and paid for Cavalier Johnson race and Davy Crawley race. But what do? Y'all vote his people back in office. Then y'all go back to complaining again. So the problem is we got to stop voting against our complaints. Mm-hmm. That's why they're not going to do nothing. And that's why they're not listening. Mm-hmm. They're not listening because we voted against our complaint. Chicago, they was complaining against Lightfoot, right?
Right.
She didn't even make it out the primary. They voted for their complaint instead of against their complaint. And they got rid of her in the primary.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm somewhat of a political junkie, man. Because they be at it, they be sparring.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a contact sport.
It is.
It's a contact sport, and I do agree about folks not voting. How would you say they complain? But what are you voting for? Sometimes, man, you have to choose between the lesser of two evils. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna get this juice over here,
right?
But I know it over there, oh man, but right now, this right here is popping. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, I need this. And one thing I will say about the Democratic Party, they do have a platform that is so-called geared toward the people. Now,
which people?
It's a different kind of flow there too.
Which people?
I'm gonna say something that you had said earlier about poverty.
Okay.
War on poverty.
Yeah.
It's certain practices, man, that keep poverty where they at. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And black folks gonna continue to complain about these different things. So, unfortunately, they get some bones through at them.
Right.
They get some kibbles and say, here you go, man. You'll be all right. And what go on with the Republicans in some ways, they say, okay, yeah, we gonna open up the door, but we ain't gonna let you in.
Right.
We gonna open up the door. We gonna make it work. We gonna make it happen available, but we ain't gonna let you in. That's a cold piece, man. It's like how, then you go from kibbles and bits to not getting in. I want to know, just, and I believe the folks want to know too. Y'all better want to know, how are we going to benefit from your mayorship?
Well, because this is how you benefit from my mayorship. You would be at the table instead of on the menu. You would be having opportunities to tell me what you need because I work for you, okay? You voted me in. I work for you. I don't work for anybody else. That's why I don't have big people coming in and want to donate to me because I'm not trying to owe anybody but the people who voted me in. I owe you to be a great mayor, a true leader who's going to empower you. Now, the biggest problem that we have is this. In the black community, stop looking for a leader. We're the only ethnic group that looks for a leader. Who's the leader of the whites? Who the leaders of Latinos? They don't have a leader, but they have a voice. Blacks, we got a voice. We got a leader. We ain't got no voice. And the ones who claim to be your leader is selling you out. I heard a man tell me, he said this. He said, Jesse Jackson had me. We oppressed and we're not having nothing. And he said, I was believing it. And then he said, I stopped one day. He says, Jesse ain't oppressed. Jesse's eating. Jesse kids go to the good schools.
Jesse eating good.
Yeah. He says, but we oppress. He's saying we oppress. He's not oppressed. Now, the average person in the community who's struggling every day, that mom, those so-called leaders ain't struggling. Those so-called leaders is not trying to find child care.
But, in some ways, you can't blame them for not having to find child care, man. Because I look at, that was going to be my next question for you, as a matter of fact. How did you get to the place where you serious about being mayor? What clicked? You know what I mean? What inspires you to really want to go out here and make that kind of leap? You know what I mean? And then just to chime in, it's very hard for me to see anything wrong with a person having it, or because they done went out there and earned it, and they done did the things necessary for them to have it. When that happens, man, whenever you do things to make, to make a life for yourself, that 9 times out of 10, it's going to happen.
Right.
Especially if you stay down. But back to you, my brother, I really would like to just, how did you get here?
Well, I got here because in 98, I started my church. And I started it on the corner of Richards and Concordia. And I took an old bar and I converted it. And God told me, study government. And I'm like, study government? He said, study government. And I began to study government. And I began to study this country and the Constitution and everything about this country, how it was formed and how everything happened. And then I started looking at our city. And I'm like, I can't be the only one see this. And I'm seeing things where our community was starting to suffer. Okay, things were starting to shift. I saw the degentrification starting to happen. And every time I told somebody, oh, it ain't happening, 20 years later, man, everything you said is coming to pass. I started to see those things, right? So I was like, my spiritual father made a statement to me. He said, David, if you come up with the problem, I charge you to the solution. So, okay. So I didn't really understand politics at the time. I jumped in a race for assembly against Leon Young as a Democrat, right? Now, I didn't know which party was which. So I jumped in as a Democrat because it was a winner-take-all Democrat. No Republican was running in that primary. So I goes, and then we was having a town hall meeting, okay, a forum, and who was it? Because I don't want to say the wrong name. Marvin Pratt was the moderator of it, and the way I was talking, they were saying before the forum that I'm not a Democrat, the way I was talking. And so we're in there, and they asked me a question about the district. And they said, this district is hurting. What would you do, whatever, to make the district better? And I said, I would cross over and work with anybody to get what my district needs. I mean, that's what a leader do, right? Yeah. And right then and there, I heard Marvin Pratt says, we don't cross over, number one. And then I heard of somebody in the crowd say, That's the fake Democrat, because they was already putting information out that a fake Democrat was in the race. So when that happened, I lost the primary because they said I was fake Democrat. And today I thank them for that I didn't drink the Kool-Aid and just went along to get along. So then in 2009, I met a young man. He was at an event. They wanted some people to run, but they wanted to control your race. They wanted you to run, but then they was going to put, they was going to do your marketing. They was going to do everything. Well, I'd never been a follower in my life. So I told him, man, I can't do this. I'm out of here. And the guy walked outside and said, I'm so glad you said that. Let me show you something. So he took me around, and I started hearing other people talking about physical responsibility, making sure we ain't wasting money. And I mean, these are the things I was taught at home by my mom. You don't waste no money, right? My mom told us, you are not better than anybody and nobody is better than you, right? My mom was the one that says, I give you a hand up, but not a hand out. So all of my conservative, as they call it, conservative values, I call it moral values that I learned from my mom. Okay. So I started going around people that was talking like that, right? So then I ended up speaking at an event called American for Prosperity, right? And they had a conference, and they asked me to speak. And when I got there, I'm still trying to figure out what God was doing. I spoke that this country is in a mess that it is because we removed God, right? So I began to come from a spiritual standpoint. Got a standing ovation. Started traveling the state. I even spoke at tea parties, right? I needed to learn politics. I needed to learn this side. I needed to learn that side, right? So 2022, I ran for lieutenant governor on the Republican side, right? Okay. And so, and I got a book out. I'm going to give you a copy of my book, and it's called Why It's Important to Stay in the Middle from a Kingdom Perspective, okay? So I ran. The Democrats say Republicans is prejudice. Republicans says we're not prejudiced, right? We had 4 black African Americans, as they call us, running for statewide office on the Republican side. Great opportunity to say we're not prejudiced. Look what we got. They didn't do that. Why? Because the attention now would have went on the 4 blacks, and it didn't happen, right? So as I came up from the political side, I learned neither side is for you. They have their own agenda, and they never tell you what you want them to do. They only tell you what they're going to do. That's a red flag right there.
Okay.
That's just like you telling this woman, marry me, and I'm going to buy you food. I'm going to buy your clothes. But you're wearing what I want you to wear.
Right.
Ain't no woman going along with that unless you went overseas somewhere and got her and she just said, okay. But ain't no woman going to just go along. So they tell us their plan, but they never look at, like you said, how many regular people is at the table to see. So when I saw that, bam, I run an organization called Wisconsin God Squad. Okay. I started off helping people. We started taking them to buy seasons, right? I had 450 people working at buy season. I transferred first, second, and third shift. I helped Ashante Hamlet family get jobs. I helped my good friend Lena Taylor. I helped her brother get going. Stamper, every elected official knew my work. Jason Field used to come in my office just to watch people go to work. He was like, man, they saying there ain't no jobs, but you giving out jobs. Because why? I went to the jobs and say, hey, listen, I will teach your people. I would teach the people your culture, and then I would bring them to you. I had them in New Berlin. I had them in Ozaki. I had them in Beaver Dam. I had them in Hartford. I had them traveling everywhere, right? Giving them jobs. They knew that. They knew my work. They knew I was giving people that was coming out of jail jobs. They knew I was helping people get off drugs and alcohol.
Was that the Joseph? You said?
No. Joseph Project came after the God Squad.
Okay.
God Squad was operating almost 20 years before Joseph Project came on. Okay.
Okay.
And so they knew my work. They all knew my work. They knew I worked with Chief Jones and his safety coalition. And me and my church was walking the streets at midnight to 3 o'clock in the morning. They knew my work. Every February, Black History Month, when they give out Black Excellent Award, they never asked me, and I don't care about accolades, but they never came to me. You know why? Because I wasn't a Democrat. They knew my work.
Right.
They came to me. Matter of fact, they came in my office and they sent Tim McMurtry into my office. This is what this man told me. He says, we like your work and we know what you're doing, but we can't give you no money because you won't shut up. So
I hate to say it, but I believe you. Like, sometimes, man, that's why I know that political game, man, that's a physical sport, man. They not playing,
right?
And they are very hard driven, especially in today's political climate. It's either you on this side or that side. Ain't no middle ground, and middle ground, when you on the middle ground, man, you getting ostracized, you getting polarized, you might get a bomb threat, all kind of different
Well, I'm
things.
a Second Amendment man, so I ain't worried about that. But
let me ask you, how do you operate down the middle like that? Now, we understand where you came from.
Right.
But how are you going to be able to operate effectively down the middle without choosing one party or another to, for instance, with different votes come up? Man,
well, who says
you
you have to deal? Who says that you have to choose a side? That's what they put in our head.
Well, when those packages come out, though, man, is we gonna vote? You gonna vote for this package or that package? Because Voss and them, they gonna keep things.
But you have to. The beauty of it is this: being in the middle. Being in the middle is more dangerous to both sides than any. And I tell you why. You have some Black Democrats who are great people, who love this city, and have some great ideas. You have some Republicans on this side that are some great people who love the city and have great ideas.
I agree.
You know what the motto of my campaign is? Meet me in the middle and have a mind to work.
It's hard right now.
No, it's not.
Man, from what I can tell.
No, it's not. I tell you like this. Everybody that knows me. I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Diehard. Ever since 1969, I've been a Steelers fan in the state of Wisconsin, okay? And I deal with Packer fans all the time, right? And the beauty of dealing with them is, oh, man, you're a Steelers fan. Oh, I'm a Packer fan. Okay, what's the common goal being still in the Packer fan? We both love football. Yep, let's go to work.
Yep, that's the common goal.
That's the common goal.
Yep.
For the Democrats that love Milwaukee and the Republicans that love Milwaukee, what's the common goal? We want safety. Okay, let's go to work. We want economic prosperity. Okay, let's go to work. We want it to be business friendly. Okay, let's go to work, right? We want a better education system. Okay, let's go to work. After we get the work done, y'all can argue about whose side is the best later. Right now, because this is nonpartisan, let's come together, roll up our sleeves, and go to work. Now, that's
the idea. That's the ideal way.
But it works, though. But it works.
Yeah, it would work.
And the thing about it, and the beauty of it is this. When we start to understand that, like you and I said earlier, there's some good white folks out there, right?
No doubt about it.
And they have a same common ground that you and I have, right?
Yes.
Same thing with Latinos, same thing with Hmong, same thing. All we got to do is find a common ground. And if we're sick and tired of diving on the floor because we hear gunshots, let's come to that middle. Because we already seen neither side going to address it. Neither side is going to address it.
Well, what about the gun violence? You just mentioned it, and Republicans say, "Oh, they trying to take away our guns and this, that, and the other." And Democrats say, "Man, we just tired of folks getting killed." And access to these guns, it ain't no reason why nan brother in the hood need an AKRF 1720 with a 300 round clip, and what for? I'm talking about other than for dude across the street who got the 1-2.
Right.
But why are those kind of guns in our neighborhood?
Come on. You know why. Mm-hmm. And who put them there?
Mm-hmm. The gun maker.
Okay, so what's this?
I'm saying who put them there and all that, but who allow them there?
Right. But listen, one of the things that we have to look at is this. Guns is not bad if you have training. Okay? I am a Second Amendment man. I believe in Second Amendment. Second Amendment don't mean I get to go hunting. Second Amendment means I get to have guns in case government try to overreach and I can protect my family from government. Mm-hmm. Not from my neighbor, but from government. So I trained my children and my grandchildren that I will never lock up my guns. I trained them. Mm-hmm. Okay? My son and I, we had a code when we walked the streets. Mm-hmm. If we was in Walmart or we was somewhere, and my son, I let him be a kid. But the moment I say, Jeremiah, what's my rule? He come to the side of me. Because if I sense danger, he know he's got to come here. Mm-hmm. It's a training. Mm-hmm. I have Caucasian friends who's a Second Amendment. They love their guns. They train their kids. Mm-hmm. Our kids don't get training.
But what you gonna get trained on an AKR-17?
You mean AK-47?
I don't. They modified.
I don't see all of that. But what I do see is that I tell people this: you get mad at guns, but if I drove my car and I crashed into your house, right?
Right.
Are you going to come out your house and cuss out my car, or you going to cuss me out?
Cussing you out.
Why not the car?
For what?
It's the one that's in your house.
But if it was an AKR-47 bullet flying through my...
No, but wait. But watch this. You ain't going to mess with the car, right? You're going to mess with the one who's what?
Driving the car.
Exactly. So we can't say the gun is bad. It's the ones who's behind it.
Well, some of that training come in. However, man, those big, crazy guns you can go kill everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you having a mental health problem.
Right.
That should have been dealt with. And you can go get this gun crazy as a Besserbug.
Right.
Man. I'm talking about it don't matter.
Right.
You can look like a Besserbug and go get a gun.
Right. But see, here's one of the things, and again, it goes back to education, right? I set up for my guys to come in and teach the CCW class, right? Mm-hmm. And when they taught those CCW classes, right, the beauty of it was we have information on the laws. 50% of those people went through the class and said, I don't want to own a gun because of the responsibility that comes with owning that gun. All right. The young people that got their CCW was calling me, can I drink and have my gun? No, you cannot drink and have your gun. Drinking and having a gun is worse than drinking and driving. So they understood the law. So they understood the responsibility. You understand what I'm saying? But to your point, you're right. People that got mental issues, so then that means when we go and they have to apply to get those guns, right? Mm-hmm. So if they got to apply, why not get them evaluated? Mm-hmm. Let's check and see if they have a behavior problem. Mm-hmm. Let's check to see if
background check.
Well, not just background check, because your background check just say you ain't did no crime, right. But it doesn't check you up here. Is you on any kind of medication? Yes, for it. And if you are, then I'm sorry, we can't give it to you right now.
And I think that's part of the problem, though. Like I said, man, somebody with those type of illnesses can go get a gun with no problem. And they can get a mass murderer gun with no problem without a blink of an eye.
Right.
And then our young folks out here, they get it, man. It's definitely some things can be put into place. Yeah. Very, pragmatic simple things
Right.
that can help in this issue.
Right.
You
And
know what I
the
mean?
thing about it is I also do prison ministry, and I go up to Dodge, okay? And I tell the people in Dodge, I say, listen, the person that's sitting here is not the same person that got you here. The person that got you here was emotional, okay? Now you hear that emotion is gone, and now you be like, oh my God, I really wasn't this bad person. No, you allowed your emotion. So we got to address emotional issues. That's why I hate they took debate club out of the schools, because it taught you how to deal with confrontation when you go into debate class.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a heated conversation and still be friends. We came up, we had a friend we had a beef with, we would fist fight, and tomorrow we having a drink together. Right? We addressed it at that moment. But now you're not even, you just emotionally just attacking, because why? That's all you've been fed. You never was fed to address.
That's all you feed is your emotions.
Right.
You operate off your emotions, and it definitely need to be some emotional management. But right now, I believe, man, they just have to be brought up to speed on. You got different emotions, man,
Right.
And they just feelings. They gonna pass,
Right.
You know, and you need to know how to navigate through them so that they could pass,
Right.
You know, and you can get on to wherever you're trying to go, man. That's another, I believe, tangible way of helping folks in our community.
Right.
You know?
And say so, and when we look at it, right, on the first order of business is to deal with the social issues of our community. Because if we don't kill that cancer, we can't have a good city.
Right.
We can't have a great city on the lake, right? But if they allow us to continue to destroy one another, then they will have a great city on the lake, just like they did in Detroit, just like they did in Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
So they will allow us to destroy ourselves because they knew the solution, but they didn't need the solution to get into the community.
Right.
And so with me, I managed
Their solution, though, was for us to destroy ourselves.
Yes.
That's their solution.
That's their solution.
Yeah,
Destroy yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't have a dream.
And we done already done the work
Right.
for you to destroy yourself.
Right.
You know, that's the part we have to tackle, the work that they done.
Right.
You know, we have to reverse that,
Right.
expose that, and then come up with the different solutions and remedies on how to deal with it.
Right.
You know?
So it starts. We have to start with transforming the mind of
Yes,
the
sir.
people.
Yes, sir.
And so we can have different forms, different workshops. That's literally. I'm not talking about a workshop just to have a thing. No, I'm talking about literally workshops where we see these young men and says, you know what, I'm a impart in you today. I'm gonna work with you today. And now here's my phone number. Before you get too angry, dial the number.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
I'll
sir.
come get you.
Yes, sir.
You know, those are the things that we need in place. We need our older women to teach our younger women.
Yes.
But some of the older ones are acting worse than the younger ones. But we have,
They hot as fire.
hey, but those are the things that we have to do to bring some solutions, right?
Right.
Some tangible solutions, right? We know the education system is wrong. So why don't we use the churches to open up their facilities to do what? Teach our young kids to read and do math.
Yes. Well, you know, Doc, it sounds like the Doc got some things on deck, y'all, and he's speaking a lot of truth in here, man. He almost got my vote now. He still got a little way to go, though. However, at the end of our show, man, we always want you to a part of Jim. For the people, man. Get something to the people, man, that they can use, that they can take with them, man, and even think about why they want to vote for you.
Okay. So let's start off with this. People of Milwaukee, your most important race, your most important election is not your presidential election, it's not your governor election. It is your local election. Those are the elections that deals with your everyday life. And we have the lowest turnouts for local races. But I want you to take time to just think about something. The reason there's a low turnout on local races because they do not push those races because they want to stay in office. This is why in 2020, only 91,000 people out of 577,000 people voted for a mayor. And in that same year, over 250,000 people voted for a president. Because they tricked you thinking that the president race was more important than your local race. You want a leader that is transparent, not going to be transparent, that is transparent, that is real, that is raw, that is uncut, but has your best interests at heart. I'm here to look out for not only your future, but your children's future, your grandchildren's future, down to the next 4 generations. And it starts here. We start February the 20th to change Milwaukee for the better. We cannot go on and continue in the direction that we're going because Einstein's definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing, expecting a different results. I'm asking you to give me 4 years. You done tried the rest, now try the best. Look at my record. I have worked in this city over almost 30 years, helping people get off drugs, marriage counseling, helping with family with their funerals, helping single moms get a place to live, taking them to work, preparing them for work, being a business coach and a consultant, helping people get on their feet. My job has always been to empower the people. So if you want a leader who wants power or you want a leader that's going to empower you, if you want a leader that's going to empower you, you need to vote David D. King, February 20th and April 3rd. God bless.
Hey, y'all, that's another episode of 100 Gems. Home of the champs, baby. And we just had Dr. King in the house. Hey, y'all, keep tuning in, baby. We'll be back. Peace.